Hello everybody, how's it going? We are here with a general and timeless reading. My name is Gabriella, for anybody that doesn't know. Before we get started with the reading, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with everyone's highest good. Okay, what I'm seeing is that there's a focus on what you want to be investing in, but I'm almost seeing you like analyze this or need to think about it. It seems like there's observing and learning that's needed in a moment, and also, I won't say inaction on your part, but it's more like internally there's stuff to do rather than externally there being things to do, because you need to prepare internally and set things up and move the pieces in the right directions, and then you're going to be able to physically take action. But I'm seeing this internal part be very, very important right now, where it looks like you're not only gathering, collecting information and insight, but you're also analyzing it as well. And I'm seeing this be a more like low-key private experience that you're doing, where you may be like more introspective, more reflective as you're moving through this. You may kind of be going out and gathering what you need and then taking it back and looking at it and categorizing it or breaking it down to understand it better. And this is going to tell you where you want to be investing your energy, what you want to be investing your energy in. Primary principle is what's coming through. So maybe like what you want to be prioritizing, what you want to principally be working on. I was also seeing the Hermit, which represents Virgo. That may be an indicator for you. Could just be more thoughtful at this time as well. All right, we're starting off with the Lovers. So, the Lovers can talk about a close relationship that you have, a dynamic that you have, something going on between you and another person. This does look like an interpersonal thing, but I will say this as well. The Lovers are not, it doesn't have to be you and another person. The Lovers can be you finding and connecting with something that you care about and something that matters to you, something that you want to merge with. Like, say you like really get into a particular activity and you're like, I love being a part of that. That can be symbolized by the Lovers card. So it doesn't have to be another person, but with what I'm seeing on the bottom of the deck, it does look like this has to do with your relationship, your connection with another person, but I'm not seeing this maybe be the best situation right now, or there's something that you're feeling that may not necessarily feel good to be feeling towards this person or within this dynamic. You could feel like there's a lack of desired support from your partner, and to have the Five of Swords on the bottom of the deck, there can also be an element of like resentment or animosity, even though it may be hard to admit that. Let's look at this further and see what's going on. This is a partner of some sort. Yeah, look. This is tension. The beautiful thing about the Five of Wands is that this is something that when addressed, this conflict, because there is a conflict here, present energetically, something that you can't avoid. Well, you can avoid if you want, but this is definitely being recognized energetically. I'm definitely getting this like resistance to even being like, yep, something's going on. Energetically, something's going on between you and this person. You recognizing this is the first step to resolving it. Conflict is meant to be resolved. It means that you may want something differently than the partner. Conflict is, it arises from duality. So there may be something that you want within you that is different than what's happening within reality that is going to need to be rectified if you want to resolve this. You can also be like, I want this and this matters to me and this is how I wish that my partner would act, and they're not following through with what you want or not behaving in the way that you want. And so now there's tension between the two of you, because you may want one thing and they're doing another thing. But I'm definitely feeling this resistance to even being like, yeah, there is conflict. So you may have a hard time admitting. Sometimes when we face unpleasant feelings because we don't even want to recognize that they're there. We can try to pretend that they're not, but it's something that you're going to feel internally because energy doesn't lie, and so you're going to feel internal tension. And that's something that you can't escape from, you can't run away from. So the first step is going to be recognizing, yes, there is some sort of difference here between my partner and I. There's some sort of conflict. The beautiful thing about the Five of Wands is that it can be resolved, but it first needs to be recognized. I will say this too. Part of the reason why this may be challenging to recognize is because that then means that there's going to be an admittance, a giving into, I'm feeling this way and it feels unpleasant, and having to face those unsavory emotions, the things that can be hard to feel, because this isn't a happy situation. So this is learning to sit with very uncomfortable emotions and learning to essentially do that shadow work, because shadow work are these aspects of ourselves that we don't recognize that we're bringing awareness to. And maybe you didn't know before that you had been, or maybe not consciously recognizing that you had been avoiding unpleasant emotions. This can be hard because this is admitting something is not in harmony between you and this person, and there may be some loss that you're facing, there may be some grieving that you're facing, there may be some disappointment that you're facing. All of the things that come with this of, oh, I spent all my time doing this and it still didn't work out the way that I wanted to. This is a moment where there's like a recognition of what didn't go right or what didn't go how you wanted it to go. It's like facing the truth within this situation. There may be, okay, you and this partner are at odds with one another. Internally, what this is going to look like is you feeling internal conflict and you being like, I feel internal conflict because I know that if I recognize this and I address this, it means that there's going to be a big change that's associated with that. We are generally very uncomfortable with this. Like when the death card arrives, most of us are very intimidated by this because it means my life is going to change in a way that I may not recognize. I may not be comfortable with the fact that it's changing. I feel comfortable in something that feels habitual even if I'm miserable because it's something that I can predict and I feel safe in that. So this means that something is inevitably coming to a head here. But that may be why you've been so resistant to acknowledging this, because it does mean that a change inevitably is going to come. So this is about how to resolve conflict with a partner. Seems like the biggest challenge for you that you've been facing is this undertaking. When it comes to the death card, when it comes to this energy of Pluto, this is something being activated that's going to affect your relationship. The thing is that this can feel very scary because in a way we sort of face our immortality. You face this moment where there is going to be a death. It's going to be an ego death that you're experiencing, which the ego's like, nope, not in that direction. Let's not do that. Let's try to come back and sit within this situation. Again, even though this situation with this partner does not feel pleasant, it's predictable. So I'm definitely seeing resistance here to the change. But at some point it's going to get, the conflict is going to grow enough that something is bound to happen, that this is inevitably going to be a catalyst at some point for the change that is meant to be happening within your life. Because ultimately we do want peace and harmony. It just seems like something maybe needs to get bad enough and it can be quite bearable right now. This is reminding me of, I don't remember where this is from, but I remember somebody talking about how feeling like a sense of discomfort where it's not so severe can be like a dangerous situation to be in, because you can know that you feel uncomfortable, but it's not bad enough to do something about it. And so when you're in that in-between space, unless it's super severe, sometimes we really resist the change until it gets to a point where it's like, I can't ignore the elephant in the room anymore. I have to do something about it. So things may have been moving along in a way where you were like, it's not bad enough for me to have to address this or even admit that this is going on. But it seems like something is now getting severe enough that you're like, a change is necessary and I can't avoid this any longer. Because the death card is going to show up and be like, there's no way to run away from this now and you can't go backwards. Ace of Swords, the truth, clarity, this moment, this epiphany, this realization. It seems like it's also sort of sitting on you to take action now. Like, I'm seeing this be a moment where you're like, I know what I need to do now. There is a difference, though, between knowing what you need to do and actually doing something about it. It does look like you're coming to terms, though, with a situation that did not pan out between you and this person how you wanted it to. So this means really succumbing to, like, the full emotional experience that you're having. Not just the happy things with this person. This is everything. But I'm getting that the sad feelings and those heavy feelings may be very overwhelmingly powerful because they've been avoided up until now, for the most part. So it's going to feel like a wave that it's just been like holding back and holding back and holding back, and now it's just going to flood through. So it may feel very intense, but it's just going to be something temporary. Even though it may feel like a lot once you sort of open the floodgates to allow that in. This really does seem like a moment where you're learning through personal experience about toxic positivity, where we only want to recognize like the pleasant things and sweep everything else under the rug. And this is a moment where the duality is coming through and being like, with happiness also comes sadness. Like, you can't have one without the other. But I'm seeing you had been leaning so far on one side. So there's now a recognition of kind of that like polarity that's entering into the picture now. And this is going to be a moment where you'll realize how important it is to have like an all-encompassing experience rather than just being emotion-wise living in one side of the polarity. This is going to bring something together for you to immerse you in this experience. Rather than just negating, like, the difficult stuff. I'm still seeing resistance to change here. There's going to be a point where there's going to need to be a total surrender, which, just to clarify, a surrender does not mean you giving up. It means you getting out of the way and letting things happen in the way that they're meant to be happening. Where you've been like staving something off or resisting it, this is you moving with flow rather than resisting it. But I'm still seeing this part of you where it's like the disappointment rolls through and you feel this blueness. that starts. And then you're like, wait, I'm not feeling that. Or I don't want to address this with you, because then that's going to be me being vulnerable with you being vulnerable with this person and being like, yeah, I do feel disappointed. Yeah, I am acknowledging the way that I feel. Yeah, I am validating my own emotions. Being present to your emotions. I will say this, if you are able to be present to the happiness, it's only one side of the coin. Being present also to the sadness and the disappointment and the grief and the loss is the other half of the experience. So as much as you may be like, of course I can say when I'm happy and when something feels good and when I like this, being able to also admit to the other stuff and recognize the other stuff is just as important. Embracing the fullness of all of this. I'm seeing there be confusion about this process, but I'm getting that when you get to the point of really listening, and when you catch yourself resisting to stop and to move with the flow, things are going to continue coming to light for you and making sense. This transitionary process is not going to be simple. There's probably going to be some flooding emotionally that happens as well. However, there's going to be clarity that comes from this process. It's almost like, you know, when a body of water floods and it goes up on the banks and it gets really muddy, and then it eventually recedes and the sediment settles to the bottom and the water becomes clear again. That's kind of what this process is going to be like. Because the dams have broken and there's this sense of flooding that's happening, it's going to be a bit discombobulating as it is happening, as you're in the midst of this. But I'm seeing the sediment is going to settle and there is going to be clarity. Like the intuitive and emotional water is going to run clear, but you have to get through this in order to get out on the other side of it. But I'm definitely seeing a lot of deliberate walls that you've put up to resist going in this direction. But here it is, unavoidable at this point. This is that Tower moment. This is too a moment to have a Tower. This can be like this unavoidable thing now that happens between you and this person where something, you've been holding on to something so tightly. The Tower is that thing getting ripped out of your hands. It's something going on between you and this person. And it's something that it's no longer your choice anymore. Because there's so much force and energy that has been compounded now from you holding on to something that is not meant to be held on to. And now it's being completely ripped out of your hands and it's outside of your birth of control now. And that part may feel very overwhelming because it's like I worked so hard to gain all of this control and now for what? Because I don't have it anymore. But this is that moment of free falling that's happening where you're really, this is that moment of you being brought to your knees and really surrendering within this situation. So, but it seems like I'm definitely getting a really stubborn energy on your end, which is not, it's not good, it's not bad, it's not whatever, it just is what it is. You liking to have control and things going in a way where you are determining what's happening. And now this is a moment of the universe just reminding you that the universal structure has an amount of energy that you can't fight on your own and that it's better to move with the flow of things. Towers happen because there has been resistance that has created imbalance. And so even though you're like, hey, I was building that, and now something comes and knocks it away, it's because this is actually the universe rebalancing itself. So as much as you may not see it like that, when you come out on the other side of that, you're going to see this moment. And this feels like a very abrupt realization. I'm hearing Leo very strongly. I'm looking at Gemini, Scorpio, and Mars. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you for connecting. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.